Hello and welcome to Behind the Bearcat with Northwest Career Services, where we chat with Northwest faculty and staff about their career paths and how they came to be Bearcats. I am Northwest Internship Coordinator Travis Kline.
And I'm Hannah Christian. I'm the Assistant Director of Career Services here at Northwest.
And today we are joined by Alex Kirt, who is an assistant professor in our School of Communication and Mass Media. Thanks for being with us today, Alex.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So assistant professor of
Broadcasting and audio.
Okay. All right. Audio broadcasting. This is your world,
a fellow
right?
radio fellow. So yes.
Okay. My first question, what was your first job? And my qualifications, it has to have been paid. That's how it counts as a job. And then your parents didn't pay you. So it has to be paid by someone, not your parents.
Okay. What's the statute of limitations?
However far back you want to go.
Because my first job was when I was 13 years old, and my dad noticed that I was running around with some rough kids
Shady
in the neighborhood,
crew.
and he wanted to keep me busy and doing something constructive, so he took me over to the local golf course and
hired
asked
you out.
asked them to give me a job picking up driving range balls. And I did that job for about a year. And then I was too busy at school to come out there as often as they needed people to pick up the driving range balls. So they gave the job to someone else. And then I started working at an ice cream store.
Were you scooping the
after.
ice cream?
Yep.
Ah, ice cream scooper.
Yep. Those were my two first jobs.
So driving range balls, I have a picture of you like with a mattress strapped to your back, like picking them up as people hit the driving range balls.
Did you have a golf cart? Did you go out on the golf cart? Did you have to run around out there?
I had a golf cart, but they didn't have an automatic ball picker-upper. It was actually a tube, an aluminum tube that had like a bag on the top of it, and you would stick the ball into the tube, and they would just fill up the tube and then fill up the bag at the top. And so I got $3 for every 55 gallons of
Oh, my goodness.
golf balls that I picked up. Yeah.
I believe they call those shag bags.
Yeah.
My father's a golfer, so
I bet you're right.
we had a shag bag at home.
So pretty much I was kind of the richest kid in junior high.
All right. So we like to move. So we move out of the golf land, move into ice cream scooping mode.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you keep that job? Was that a fun job? Did you get to eat ice cream?
I ate ice cream all the time.
I would have liked that job.
Yeah, I did. It was in an airport. And so I would go to the airport and scoop ice cream. I would usually work, evening shifts and things like that. I think it closed at 10 o'clock. Sometimes my parents drove me to work, and but then, being the cool guy that I was, I got a girlfriend who was 16, and she would drive me to work sometimes and drop me off.
I'm already. This is cracking me up.
I think your dad was right about that rough crowd.
So, where did you grow up? The airport ice cream shop.
Well, I was raised mostly in Southern Illinois, but during that time, for about 5 years, my family lived in Jacksonville, Florida. So that was where the golf course and
I gotcha.
the airport
Okay.
stuff all
right.
came
That makes
about.
sense. That comes together.
Yeah.
All right. So you're scooping ice cream. Did you do that all through high school?
No, I did that for just 1 year. And
Okay.
then I guess right about a year after I started that job, then my family moved back to Southern Illinois. So
Bye-bye girlfriend.
Yep.
Bye-bye ice cream
Yep.
shop. Oh.
lost my cool girlfriend
Yeah.
with a driver's license.
Got to get you away from that rough crowd before they influence too much.
So what did you do then? Where did you?
Well, then I went to work at my grandfather's auto body repair shop. My dad came back to work at the family business and take it over.
Gotcha.
And so that was my after-school job all through high school.
Did you do the auto body work? Did you do
I
office
started out
stuff?
sweeping floors and washing cars and sanding body panels and stuff like that, but eventually I ended up actually learning to do body work and painting and all that kind of good stuff. And I actually worked there off and on until about
Last
2
summer?
years ago.
Okay, so you go through high school. and you have got golf and ice cream and auto body shop experience. So I'm assuming you went to college at some point.
I did.
What did you want to do when you're a kid? What do you want to do when you grow up?
I wanted to be a musician.
Really?
Mm-hmm. My whole life, that's what I wanted to do.
What kind of music? What kind of instrument? Singing? Maybe
Guitar and singing. And so I started playing the guitar when I was maybe, 6. My mom bought me a guitar for Christmas one year. No, it was my birthday. And I took guitar lessons until I was 11 and didn't learn anything because they were teaching me out of a book, and it was not music that I liked, and I just wasn't interested in it, So,
fun fact, I also got kicked out of piano lessons because I would just tell the lady to play it, and then I would just copy her.
Yeah.
I couldn't read music.
Yeah.
She figured it out, threw me out.
Yeah, it was kind of like that with me, too. I just wasn't into it because of the way the teacher taught, I guess. But as I got older in Florida at the time when I was doing the driving
So that's
range
how you
stuff,
got the girlfriend, right? Was the guitar. She liked the
I wish,
guitar
but that
player.
never worked out
No.
for me. No, I honestly, to this day, don't know what she saw in me.
So you wanted to be a musician. So then when you graduated from high school, did you go pursue that, or did you have a band?
I did. I started playing in bands. I think my first band was when I was 15. And I played in bands all through high school. And we were like a metal band, played Guns N' Roses and Metallica and all that kind of stuff, Black Sabbath. And then, I guess it was my senior year of high school, I joined a different band, and we wrote all our own songs. And that's whenever we actually started booking shows, and I was, I guess, dishonest about my age so that I could actually play the shows.
Get in and play, yeah.
Yeah, because you had to be 19 to get in. I think I was 17 at the time. And on my 21st birthday, actually, I was playing in a bar and had partaken of beverages before then, and the bar owner had thought that I was 21, and she was not happy with me when she found out that it was my 21st birthday.
So how long did you do the band, playing in clubs or bars or whatever?
I was in that band until probably about 92 until 95. And then I didn't really play in a serious band after that for a few years. That was when I first started going to college.
So you weren't playing while you were in college? Or did you play some in college as well?
Not the first couple of years I was in college. I was still playing with people, but we didn't have a serious band or play any shows for pay or anything. And I was focused mostly on school at the time. But then the weirdest thing happened where this guy called me who owned a recording studio in the area. It was the nicest recording studio in Southern Illinois. It was really nice. And a guy named Richard Banks, he owned Blue Earth Studios. And he called me and said, there's this band from Florida who is here recording this kind of calypso pop album, and they brought this singer with them, and the singer can't sing in key. And we can't make an album. These guys are spending tens of thousands of dollars to make this album. It was all analog, 2-inch reel-to-reel tape, like $500 for 15 minutes of recording time, And
with a singer who can't sing on key.
And $90 dollars. So
Yeah, $90.
Yeah.
so thousands of dollars now.
Yeah. So then I went out there to fill in, basically cover for this guy, and I sang on this album. And let's see, after that, they released the album, and then they tried to get me to join the band. And I was like, this is not my kind of music, but whatever. So I went and I met this entertainment attorney in Miami who had come to our show, and he basically invited us to his office. We go in there, and the whole time I'm thinking, I don't know why I'm doing this, and like I really should enroll in classes for my, and all this kind of stuff, because I was in college at the time. And the guy just told the band that he wasn't interested in the band, but he was interested in me. Trying to find a record deal for me and not the band. And I was like, but the whole reason I'm sitting here right now is because these guys asked me to sing on their record. I'm not even really a member of the band. This is really weird and uncomfortable. And so those guys were just like, hey, you know, good for you. And so I kept in contact with that person. But after that, I had a couple of meetings with some people in the industry from BMG record label, which I think now is owned by Sony.
Mm-hmm.
But I talked to them, and they would ask me all these weird questions like, oh, so you want to be a songwriter? Well, we know that, or we believe that the best songwriters are tortured souls. Are you a tortured soul? And I was just like, this is the weirdest conversation ever. So I didn't really follow up with that guy after that. I kind of left that be. And then I just got in this phase of my life where I just wanted to go on big adventures. And so I went and lived in Colorado and worked as a wildland forest firefighter and mountain parks maintenance worker. And that was really cool. I'd probably still be working there if they would have hired me on permanent, but it was like a seasonal job where I would never get laid off, but they would schedule you for 39 hours so they didn't have to give you health insurance, that kind of thing. So
did you not go to college while you were doing your adventuring phase? You kind of just stopped out there.
Yeah.
So what made you go?
I stopped going to college for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
While you were...
I went for 2 years and then didn't go back. I went for 2 years. Let me think. It was 95, 96, 97 when I was in college. And then after that, I didn't go back to school again until 2010.
Wow. So what made you go back?
Well, I got married, and so there was some stuff we skipped, but I was in this band. I was in this band after the whole Colorado thing. So in 99, I moved back to Southern Illinois and started a band called the Woodbox Gang with a couple of other guys. And that band actually started touring nationally. And I was in that band from 1999 or March of 2000, I think it was, up until, well, I'm still in that band. But career-wise, it was up until about 2009. So the singer in the band had gotten himself into some trouble by running some kind of Ponzi scheme on the internet, trying to sell T-shirts and stuff like that. I still don't really know what he did, but he ended up getting sent to jail for 2 years. So I was like, my career has been destroyed, you know, like we were doing really well. And it was freaky. And I was married, and the same month that my friend told me, my business partner basically told me that he was going to jail. So my career was trashed. In the same month, my wife became pregnant with our first child. And I was like, okay, life change.
Major life change.
So I was like, I've developed all these skills in audio production, making all these records and stuff. I don't want to live in a van anymore. I want to be home and raise my kid, you know, and I was 35. So I was just like, I've had enough of this. So I went and investigated the programs at SIU, and they actually had an audio arts program, which they hadn't had before, or I would have gone into that instead of music, you know. So, so I went into that. And so the first time I was a college student, I didn't do all that great. I actually had to go to community college for a semester to get my GPA up high enough to get back into SIU.
I gotcha.
Because I had run off with the band, you know. So I did that and got my GPA up. And then, like, from the time I did that until I had graduated with an MFA, I got straight A's.
Wow. With
an infant, and then another infant was born during that time as well. So I've slept almost not at all for like 5 years.
It's interesting, that story, because we've had another faculty member on here who kind of had the same path. She was an adult learner going back, and it's amazing how non-traditional students are a lot of
You
times
have a
so much
different-
more successful.
Yeah, you have a
than
different source of
20-year-olds.
motivation, right?
It's like if I am doing this, you're making sacrifices that don't just affect you, but
Right.
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was 3 other people being affected by this. And so I was playing music at night to make enough money to pay the bills and going to school during the day and taking care of the kids. And oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I don't
crazy.
know how I did it now. Like, looking back, it's crazy. But I didn't have any gray hairs before that. And look how white my beard is now.
Okay, so did you know that how did you end up teaching? I mean, this is a musical career, a wandering firefighter, I need to make a career change into, did you know that you wanted to teach? I mean, you obviously had the audio skills, but.
Well, I just knew enough about the industry to know how hard it is to get a job in a recording studio.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very hard nowadays. It's not like it used to be because everybody has a laptop and GarageBand, and most bands don't have enough money and to pay for a recording. And I guess record labels have a completely different role in the music industry now than they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just the industry has changed so much that I knew if I wanted to do what I love to do and be involved in it, I needed to find another way to do it. And, honestly, the reason I came up with the idea was because SIU, I lived in Southern Illinois, and SIU was one of the 2 or 3 places that you could work and actually get benefits and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, maybe I could just be a college professor, And then I went there and I loved the program and had a really good relationship with my professors who were mostly the same age as me. And for the first couple
Yeah, that's
years,
the whole different aspect of going back to college as an adult that I think sometimes students who are younger miss out on. Like, well, yeah, I just talked to him because, we're dropping off our kids at school or something.
Yeah. So I actually became really, really good friends with my college professors, a lot of them. And they ended up becoming colleagues, but the weird thing was going to college classes with people who were literally half my age. Like I was sitting in like an intro to mass media class or something like that with 18 and 19-year-old kids. And I was 35 or 36. And I was like, wow. And I was listening to the things that they said and their opinions about things. I was like, I thought that same thing when I was your age. I was like, I'm literally old enough to be your dad.
So how did you make it to Northwest? So you graduated college.
Mm-hmm. I graduated with an MFA from.
So did you go straight into your MFA? Like
Yeah.
you got your undergrad and then just were like right
I
into the
busted
MFA?
it out as quickly as you possibly could with kids,
Mm-hmm.
but I always had at least 15 credit hours a semester and actually went full-time in the summers, took intercession classes, everything I could possibly do to get through there as quick as possible. And so when I graduated with my undergraduate degree, I asked one of my professors, who I really trusted with her opinion, I was like, should I go into the PhD program? And she was like, you could, but since you want to make things instead of writing about things, maybe you should go into this other program. I didn't even know what an MFA was.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, we have a program here and you can study audio and get an MFA. And I was like, awesome.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
So I did that instead. And I mean, basically you're on you're in the same rank as PhD. It's just, it's a different degree for a different purpose,
Mm-hmm.
And so now instead of writing books, I'm supposed to create things, which is great.
That's right up your alley,
Yeah.
right?
So, so I graduated with that MFA, and then I almost moved to Florida and worked for the LA Film School there because they have a branch there. I think it's a part of Full Sail University.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't want to work for a private university, but they were offering me a job. I turned down a tenure track position in Colorado because the pay wasn't enough to support a family.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, because I turned it down because that was the first job I applied to after I graduated. And I was like, oh my God, if it's this easy, I'm just going to wait till I get a really good offer. And then like, I was like, oh my God, nobody's offering me the job. I applied for 90 jobs.
Oh my goodness.
And it was just, most of them wanted somebody who did video and audio, or they wanted somebody who, I don't know, I'm trying to think. There were so many things. Like some of them wanted more of a art aspect of things, more sculpture. Some people were more into like electronic music stuff, and like nobody was really looking for exactly what I was. So I just did so many interviews, and I was really starting to get discouraged. And I actually took a job at a printing shop because I was like, I got a family to raise, you know? So I was playing music and doing the printing shop and making these big display banners for trade shows and stuff, and working with some friends of mine, so it was fun. But then I got offered the job at LA Film School, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to have to take this job because it was a pretty good job. It's just I did not want to live in Florida again, and I didn't want to work for a for-profit university very much. And it was teaching all completely online classes.
Yeah.
So then I was sitting in bed at midnight watching television with my wife, and my phone rang. And I was like, I looked at it, and it was this guy named John Plascota who went to SIU, and I knew him from there and hadn't seen him. Well, I had seen him at a conference in 2014 when I was a grad student, and that was the first time I'd seen him in a long time. And I was like, why is this guy calling me at midnight? And I answered the phone. I was like, John, what's up? And, you know, I thought he was going to give me some awful news or something. And he was like, you still looking for a job? And I was like, yeah. Yes, I am. And he was like, how do you feel about living in Missouri? And I was like, I live in Illinois. What's the difference?
It's close to Missouri, yeah.
Just cheaper.
Yeah. So he said, well, the place where I used to work, they're looking for somebody exactly like you. They're looking for an audio person. They called me and asked me about it, if I knew anybody. They need referrals, you know. They need to fill the position quick because the person who had the job had left without much notice. And they were like, we need to fill this position. It's going to be hard to do this search as quickly as we need to do it. So they needed people referring them. So anyway, I was like, all right, well, where do I need to send my stuff to? And like, I got a call like 2 days later. Maybe it was even the next day. And it was like a phone interview with Will Murphy, who I guess was on the committee. And then I think maybe just a few days later, I had an interview with the whole committee. And then not too long after that, I came out for an in-person interview, and then I was offered the job. And I just loved it here. I mean, this job is great. It's exactly what I wanted to do, and my colleagues are really awesome. I like the people that I work with a lot, and the culture here is really cool. I mean, I'm like, this is the best job I've ever had in my life. You know?
So when you say you're doing what you love to do, so what do you do on a regular basis as an associate professor broadcasting?
Well, I teach all of the recording classes, which I love teaching. Audio post-production I'm teaching right now, which is sound for moving images, film sound and stuff like that, which is super fun. I have the students pick out a scene out of a film, like a 5-minute scene, and scrub all the audio away and then replace it all. I've got students doing a scene out of Jaws right now, which is really cool. And some other students doing a scene out of Batman. The one that had Heath Ledger in it is the Joker. It's like the bank robbery scene at the beginning of the movie. They're doing that scene. It's lots of fun, you know. But I also teach advanced audio for music, which is music recording studio techniques. And I teach audio tech and recording, which is basically like teaching students to use the recording studio.
The equipment, right?
You
like
have to take a class about how to use it before you start really
using it.
Yeah.
Right?
Which I have them using it. It's all hands-on stuff, but it's like the music recording class is more involved. more requirements. And I talk to them about a lot of production techniques as well. So then there's also Intro to Audio, which basically is like Pro Tools introduction class. And I teach them how to make radio productions, things like that.
And you're the advisor for the student radio station, too.
Right, yeah, for KZLX. And
that's a lot of making things. Like you're still you're teaching students, but you're very involved in the making of things, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's great. And then I also teach media business and entrepreneurship, which that was a little out of my comfort zone. I was like, well, I studied all this in school, but, you know, I never worked at a newspaper or a television station or anything like that. And, you know, that media business and entrepreneurship covers all
wide range.
Media,
yeah.
You know. So I studied a lot to teach that class just to make sure that, you know, I was giving them the best instruction that I could. But that one was the biggest challenge for sure. But it's fun because they make a business plan in there, and, you know, I get to find out exactly what they're really interested in. And I'm like, you know, make this for you, because by learning to do this, you could actually maybe go out and someday say, hey, Mr. Banker, I want a small business loan to start this videography business or whatever. You know, you could actually do something with that. You know, if you're having a hard time finding a job, maybe you can get somebody to loan you the money to start your own job. You know, isn't that supposed to be the American dream?
Absolutely.
Like, to work for yourself?
Maybe being in a band.
Yeah, maybe.
And you still play music, too, as well, right?
Yeah, I do. It's just there's not really a music scene here.
Not much, yeah.
Kansas City has an amazing music scene, but it's too far away. I have kids, you know. If it was maybe in St. Joe, I might participate more, but
Maybe we should make our own music scene.
yeah,
Right?
people have said that. I'm like, that'd be crazy. I mean, it wouldn't be impossible. I mean, I was just surprised that the university culture here, the student culture, wasn't more inclined to start bands and things like that. Like, I just maybe took it for granted at SIU because there were so many bands, it was ridiculous. So many house concerts going on all the time. Cops coming because the music was too loud and too many people in the yard. It was all the time. And it just seems like that isn't quite as much of the student culture here. It seems like, or maybe it's just a generational thing. I don't know, but it seems like students now are more into going to dance clubs and EDM and making music on their computers rather than playing
Out there with the guitar on the porch.
Yeah, beating on drums and spending their student loan money on amplifiers and all that kind of stuff.
Well, any listeners, if you have a chance to see Alex perform live, he's amazing. Like, plays a one-man band, it's fantastic. So highly recommend that if you see him playing, like at the pub or somewhere locally, go watch. It's awesome.
Well, the one-man band thing is kind of by necessity, because like I had to be able to make enough money to pay the bills. So I was like, if I play by myself,
You can keep all the money.
I can make $500 instead of $100. So that was kind of that. But people liked it, so I just kept doing it. But in here, it's pretty much the only choice.
Right.
You know?
Well, to someone who has no rhythm, to see you playing like 3 instruments simultaneously is mind-blowing. It's amazing.
I was trying to teach my daughter how to tap her foot and play the ukulele in time yesterday, and she was like, "How do you do that?"
Yeah, it's
I was
impressive.
like, "You'll get it. You'll get it."
Any tips or tricks or wisdom as someone who definitely has a non-traditional kind of career path of wandering and finally deciding, okay, this is where I'm going to change my career because of these other circumstances? Any tricks, wisdom, tips, any
I would
advice
say,
for people?
Well, number one, if you're a musician, don't ever or whatever you do, don't ever let anybody say, well, that's a good fallback plan. Like, people have always said that about music to me. Like, well, you know, it's a good fallback plan. The fallback plan is what has made me be able to survive. Like, if I didn't have music, I would have never been able to get through college because I wouldn't have been able to pay the bills, you know. The simple fact that I could make $1,000 in 2 nights playing music made all the difference in the world, you know. I would not have been able to make it had it not been for that. So the fallback plan may actually be the thing that
The plan A.
yeah, that gets you through in hard times. You know, I mean, if you can do anything that you can make money at, you know, that can get you through being a non-traditional student. Don't give up on the things that you want to do. I would say also stick with it. You know, if I can get through grad school with 2 infants, anybody can do it. There's nothing about me that is extraordinary or anything. I just made myself do it, you know. I just accepted the fact that I was going to be tired. You know, sometimes you just have to accept the fact that you're going to be tired. And I would also say to keep an open mind about things too, because when I went back to school, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to try to work at SIU. That was my whole thing. You know, I'm going to try to work at this university that's 8 miles from my house because, you know, it's huge. It's this huge institution and I can get benefits and take care of my family. And I went there and I was like, I can do it. I know I can do it. I know I can do it, you know, but in the back of my mind, I was like, unsure of myself a little bit too, and sometimes I would think, how in the hell am I going to get through this? But you know, if you just don't give up and keep an open mind, because I didn't know about MFAs. I thought I was going to have to get a PhD, and instead of using my creativity to make a thesis, I thought I was going to have to write this huge book and do all this research, and I was like, I can do it because I'm interested in a lot of stuff, but I was scared, you know. But then all of a sudden it changed, and then I got to make stuff for my thesis. Well, I had to write some stuff too, but the book only had to be like 50 or 100 pages long instead of this huge thing, you know, because I had all this work to go with it. But, you know, I would say just keep an open mind, be open to new opportunities or new ideas that make sense, because sometimes you won't know about things going in and all of a sudden things just happen, you know. It's weird. It's almost like the universe decides, you know?
All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, that'll do it for another episode of Behind the Bearcat, and we'll catch you next time. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to follow on your podcast platform of choice and on YouTube. Also, click the little notification bell on YouTube so you never miss an upload. And you can follow us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and we have a LinkedIn page.